Okay, so we're having our fair share of technical problems this morning, right? So thank you for bearing with us. I don't know if you can see me. You can see me, great.
But not on YouTube, just on Facebook.
Just on Facebook, that's good. So you're speaking of technical problems this week. Mum asked me for my help. Hi, Mum. She's doing an online course and she wanted to check that her Zoom is working. It's her first time on Zoom, you see. So I sent her the link and she connected very smoothly, and of course we greeted each other according to the established Zoom etiquette by asking each other, "Can you hear me?" Most of you know that by now, right? I think it's almost the words that capture this pandemic here. You know, "Can you hear me?" Or the other one is, "You're on mute." It's funny, but it's also quite frustrating to want to listen, but not being able to. I noticed today the picture went, but sometimes the sound doesn't work on our live stream. Some people immediately comment, because after all, you connect with us precisely because you want to listen. We know how precious and how fundamental listening is to life, precisely when for some reason it doesn't happen, it's blocked. Think of all the times that you were on a call and the connection broke down and you missed a crucial word. Or when you were trying to connect or say something on Zoom, but nobody was acknowledging you because, of course, you were on mute. Or let's not forget about normal in-person life and those moments when whatever you're saying was only heard, but not really listened to. It's every preacher's nightmare. But here's a helpful tip of how to help us grow in active and effective listening. I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert. I found this on the university website, but it helps me. I think it makes a lot of sense. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's called AAA listening. So it's 3 A's: attitude, attention, and adjustment. So a brief word on each. Attitude. Attitude is very much a mental position that we go with into something. So, for example, one can have a positive attitude or a negative one, or an open attitude or closed. And this carries through. So think about it, for example, if your attitude in life is that everyone deserves respect, you will likely bring that attitude into your conversations. And so because of your attitude of respect, you will likely listen respectfully to those who speak to you. A positive, open attitude to the speaker actually means that you get more of the exchange. So that's attitude. Second one is attention. This should be quite obvious. Some, of course, may be better predisposed to this than others, but wherever you are on the attention spectrum, at least have some self-awareness as to where you're at. There are practical things you can do to improve your focus. So that's attitude, attention. The third one is adjustment. Adjusting really means adapting to what the speaker is saying. So instead of thinking about what they should be saying, or what you would have said instead, or what you will say in return, adjustment means that you go with the flow of what they're saying as you listen to them. So this doesn't mean agreeing, but it means listening openly. So that's attitude, attention, and adjustment, tripling. So why does this matter? Well, it matters because relationships matter. Those who do relationship counseling often hone in on good communication as the cornerstone for a healthy relationship. And the key to good communication is listening. We know this. We don't need relationship counseling to understand this. But like really actively listening, not passively hearing someone say words. Because it's when you listen to someone that you come to know them. So it matters. Why does it matter today? Well, so many reasons, but as Father T explained in the introduction to us, this is the last of a 3-part series called Doing Life Together. I don't know about you, but doing life together, to me, means meaningful relationships. Meaningful relationships require good listening. It's not just me saying it. Jesus says it in today's word. He says, He is a good shepherd, and we are His sheep. And this privileged relationship is held together by one thing, by His voice, and by the sheep listening to that voice. In fact, He says He would even bring to the flock other sheep from elsewhere. And what will draw them in is, you guessed it, His voice. So just as our relationships depend on listening, so too our relationship with our shepherd, with Jesus, depends on listening. I would add that if the AAA listening works for our human relationships, I can't see why it wouldn't help to bring in the right attitude, full attention, and an open-minded adjustment to His voice in our life. So attitude, attention, adjustment. This is really crucial if we are truly to do life together. Sure, it is essential that we listen, and that we listen well to each other. But when you think about it, if the sheep just listen to each other, things won't end well when the wolf comes. They will scatter. So would we. Ultimately, the voice that gathers us is not each other's, but Jesus's. So doing life together means listening to each other and listening to Him who binds us together. Doing life together also means listening to Him with others. If we really are who we say we are, one body, then we listen together. Otherwise, we're simply the sum of our parts on the same path, but each to themselves. That would remind me of the passengers on the tube, the London Underground, the subway. Nobody speaks to anyone, everyone is siloed. So they're all heading the same way, individually together. That's not the kind of community of disciples that Jesus established. Just as we come to know another person by truly listening to them, so too, as one body, as one community, doing life together, we come to know Him by listening to Him. Listening to Him together means doing life together. It's so interesting that whereas for the Greeks at the time of Jesus, knowing meant understanding, head knowledge. For Jews, knowing meant loving, shared life, being in a constant attitude of listening. So in the Jewish tradition, the disciple learned from the Master by living with Him, by constantly listening to Him. So listening to Him together is more than just taking a course. Listening together, after all, is more than learning facts together. So I do encourage you, do not pass up opportunities to listen to His voice with others, whatever that invitation might look like. Maybe you get an invitation to join a connect group, or the men's group, or the youth group, or maybe someone today will invite you to share with others what struck you from today's message. If we want to do life together, we need to gather around His voice. And at a time when we are physically scattered and we have no sacraments, only His Word to share and each other, then we couldn't have received a clearer message from Him today. So, don't put His voice on mute, and don't just shout at Him, "Can you hear me?" Instead, listen to His voice and practice listening to others in your life. And as much as you can, listen to His voice with others. After all, doing life together means